Okay, so welcome everyone to our Study Abroad podcast series. So today we have Shreya from Carnegie Mellon and now working at Meta, and she's from Gwalior as per her LinkedIn account, and she also studied at IIT Delhi. So welcome Shreya to our podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So Shreya, when was the very first time you thought that maybe this is the time, or in some time in my future, I would like to explore the abroad opportunities?
Actually, during my undergrad at IIT Delhi, I was fortunate to get like multiple opportunities to do internships outside India. And right from my second year all the way till my final year, I went on like three separate internships in different countries, and particularly my internship in my final semester, which was in ETH Zurich, gave me like a broader perspective of the research culture outside India, and I was like really inspired by it. I had like a research inclination right from the beginning throughout my IIT journey, and I wanted to explore that further. Though I wasn't like very confident towards PhD, so I decided I should go for a research focused master's, and what place would be better than US to do that? So that's how I decided.
So these three, like second year, third year, and fourth year, probably like three summer vacations, you went to like three different countries. One
Yes.
was ETH Zurich, other two were.
So in my second year, I went to Mexico. So there's National Autonomous University of Mexico, where I did research in statistics. And my third year, I went to it was Michigan State University in the US, but it was during the COVID. I was supposed to be there in person, but I eventually did it virtually. And my final internship was in ETH Zurich, where I was like for 5 months, which was a significant semester long
So two
internship.
of them was physical and one of them was like remote. So you were guided by like your senior and other people on this research internship right from your bachelor time.
Yes. So IIT Delhi has a good culture of people going abroad for summer internships for research. So I definitely had seniors who had gone to similar universities before. So I always had their guidance in some way.
So what percentage of students might be doing this every year? Like let's say 500 to 1000 is the strength of each batch, right? How
Uh-huh.
many people do you think of IIT Delhi, let's say, are doing this research internship or abroad internship every year? Maybe 5, 10%,
Uh,
20%?
Yeah, I would say around 20% maybe, because I do know for sure that at some point during the degree, everyone tries to get a foreign internship. But as an undergrad, it's quite difficult and challenging because you do not have that much exposure. And like people are just trying to follow the trend in a lot of cases. But still, I would say that at least 20% of the students might be ending up going abroad for internships.
Sure, sure. So you're already used to like, applying to like 10, 20, 30, 100 places and getting rejected by 90% of them or 99% of them or something. So this rejection experience has been coming like in your mind from the second year only.
Yeah, that's a very good question. I mean, before that, it was like just giving exams and qualifying it based on merit. So either you pass or fail. But applying for internships was another level challenge because there are like so many factors, especially luck, like whether you're reaching the right lab or like right research group, and whether they have the availability, whether their availability matches your availability, a lot of factors. And in most scenarios, you're doing essentially cold mailing. You're just randomly finding people on internet, researchers and professors online, and emailing them. So it was definitely challenging, but also kind of a learning in some way.
And did you use LinkedIn a lot to approach the professor and other people for your internship?
That's a very good question. I did not initially, but like during my second year, it was like purely cold mailing. But eventually, I realized that it's better to reach out to them over LinkedIn, or even in large labs and like even professors, like because they have so many emails every day. It's better to reach out to like a senior PhD or a postdoc in the lab. And through that student, it's better to reach out to the professor. You're more likely to hear back from them.
So it's like creating a relation through the lab mates or future lab mates, let's say, like your senior or potential lab mates, and through them you also know the persona of the supervisor, and that's how you can also decide if this is the right person for me or not.
That is true. Yeah, you can ask their experience. But usually, even as a when you join a lab as an undergrad researcher, you're always paired with a senior PhD or a postdoc. So it's always good if you can directly find that person and say, okay, you're working on this. I saw online, I saw your papers, and I'm interested in similar kind of research, and I would love to work with you over the summer. So if you could like talk about my possibility of interning in your lab with your advisor, that's always a good way of going about it. Because a lot of times I saw that professors were interested, they replied back, but they never had the bandwidth to like match my qualifications with what's needed in the lab and like actually come up with a project for me. And they eventually, like, the conversation died out just because of that. Yeah,
So I think this relationship with the lab mates and like approaching them from LinkedIn would also create your your master's project or your research project in a more focused way, that you already know that okay, I
absolutely.
would like to do this and I would like to probably do it with this person, and can you like help me out, or can you like enroll me in this then?
Yes. Yeah.
Right. So after your experiences, you decided that you will go for this masters abroad. So did you consider more countries than US? How many colleges did you apply for? Like, what was your list of colleges like?
So I was pretty adamant of going to the US. So I only applied to the universities in the US and mainly CMU, MIT, Columbia, Georgia Tech, University of Massachusetts, and USC. So there are like six universities. And I was more focused on applying to AI machine learning specific uh, master's programs. Even the robotics program that I eventually joined at CMU, my area was more focused on AI and robotics. So that was yeah, how I planned
So
it.
your other research internships were also like focused on AI, like the Zurich one and the other previous two.
Um, so no, actually, my second year internship was in statistics. Then I moved to AI. So I moved to classical AI. So my Michigan State University internship was actually in genetic algorithms, which is like a classical AI algorithm. And eventually, in my final year, the internship at ETH was focused on NLP and reinforcement learning. And my thesis project during my undergrad was also focused on NLP and reinforcement learning for robotics. So that's how I transitioned into robotics.
Okay, okay. And once you got the offer, you had to choose between universities. So CMU was like the obvious choice for you, or were you like a bit confused?
In a way, it was. So of the six universities, I got admit from CMU, Columbia, USC, and UMass. And Columbia was also a good alternative, but given I got into robotics at CMU, which is like the highest ranked robotics program in the world, it made a lot of sense. Also, financially, it made sense because Robotics Institute, this program is a research program. So it is very likely to get funded by the professors or the lab that you work with for most part of your education.
So in your offer letter of CMU, did they mention any scholarship, RATS-ship associated with this master's degree?
So they only mentioned that you will have to RA, but what would be the terms of RA-ship would depend on your professor. There is no guarantee. It could be zero, it could be 100%. I was fortunate to get fully funded for 3 of my 4 semesters, which worked out for me, I guess.
So this 3 or 4 semester is the starting from second semester, or the other way
Yes.
around.
So the thing is, there are students who have already worked with professors in Robotics Institute in terms of like they might be doing internships in previous summers, or they might have already started working with professors remotely. So those students often get funded right from the first semester. But for newly joined students, the first semester is actually a period where you meet with different professors and find a lab that you want to work with. And your funding essentially starts from second semester.
And for this application process, you had to write like GRE, TOEFL, etc., IELTS. Which ones did you
Yes.
take?
So I gave GRE and TOEFL. I wouldn't, if you're applying to US, I wouldn't recommend IELTS because TOEFL is like the more accepted one. And other than that, there were like 2 to 3 LORs and an SOP. Yeah.
And this LORs, the letter of recommendation, who did you choose? You had too many choices.
I did have interesting choices and like some really good professors. But I would like to highlight that at least for my case, I definitely believe that LORs were a game changer. And people often underestimate the importance of LORs, but I think those are like the strongest evidence of your excellence in some way. And I got 2 LORs from my thesis advisors at IIT because I had worked with them for almost 2 years, so they knew me pretty well. And I got one LOR from my US advisor at Michigan State University because I had already had a paper with him. So he had a lot of context for my LOR. And I think all three, and also like there are two factors I would say. One is like who are you getting your LOR from? If that person is a respected professor or a important or famous person in the field, and second is how well they know you. Because it doesn't make sense if you go to a person who barely you've just taken a class and they just write, oh yeah, this student took a class of me. I think he or she is a good student. That's it. So there are two factors. The person, if the person is a famous person in the a researcher in the field, that is really good. And if that person can write a personal level appreciation based LOR for you. So I think those two things are really important when you choose your recommenders.
But in your case, you did a few more research internships, right? So in your case, was that difficult to choose these three out of that five, six people, or it was quite obvious that okay, these are the three people I'll get the recommendation from?
I think I was pretty certain about the people I would get my recommendation letters from, because these professors were pretty highly ranked in their field and had pretty high citations and were very well known. So, and I had a good personal rapport with them, so I was pretty clear.
So for our audience, I think it's good to have three good relations at least in your life.
2 to 3. So a lot of places say you can submit up to three, at least two. I don't know if adding a third LOR is beneficial, but I would definitely say don't add one just for the sake of it. If it's adding value, then only add it. If you add an LOR just for the sake of it and it's a very generic one, it might even harm your application. So
Sure,
just
sure.
submit the strongest ones.
And I think in your case, the statement of purpose was quite strong. Also, you mentioning like you did this three research internship at three places, and that's what motivated you to join the fourth place.
Yeah, I'm sure I didn't frame it in that way, but that would have been nice too. Uh, but yeah, I think I was able to weave out a really nice story right from starting my journey at IIT all the way till the final year because I could show the progression. I started as an electrical engineering student. I changed my branch to computer science in my second year. Then I did a more math-based internship, gradually moved to classical AI, and then eventually to deep learning side. So, and like that kind of showed my path and like my motivation towards specializing in one field. And since I had good amount of projects, in robotics, like AI and robotics, I was able to write a good story.
Sure, sure. And once you decided everything and all your admits and things were okay, you had to go through this visa process. How was that process in your case? Any hiccups?
Oh, the visa process is definitely tricky because you get very few slots and there are a lot of hacks of doing it. So once you get the admit, you have to book a slot for the US visa and there are limited basically slots for it. And people use Telegram and other chatbots that help them like basically notify whenever slots are coming. So I think people use that. Sometimes people also hire like travel agents to do that for them. Yeah, I mostly use those travel bots to like Telegram bots to find a slot. Other than
And
that, I think like when you go for the visa interview, I think I didn't face any problem as such, honestly. Yeah.
So these bots are reliable enough, or it's more for the...
Yeah, I think they're good enough. People have developed pretty efficient bots. But even after using those bots, you have to be really quick. Like within 1 hour, those slots are gone, or even less. So
Okay, so it's like a strategy for the US visa to create the scarcity.
kind of maybe. Yeah.
Sure. So once your visa was done, you had to look for your accommodation. How did you find your accommodation in your case?
So I first found roommates, so which were essentially people from my program. So like there were multiple WhatsApp groups made from for CMU, and I found people were randomly texting each other, and like we just talked over phone and like decided, oh, okay, our vibe match. Let's find a house or apartment together. And then we were just house hunting online on Zillow and apartments.com, some websites that have good apartment options in the US. And you can easily schedule virtual tours with the landlord, and you can just pre-book your apartment. That's one way of doing it. We did that actually. So we had a place once we landed, but a lot of people just book a BNB for like 10 Airbnb for 10-15 days, and once they're there, they go in person and like look for apartments. So that's another way of doing it, I guess.
So you had to pay for this apartment in advance, probably some money. How did that happen?
Yeah,
Like
you have
online
to give
transfer?
some security deposit and 1 month rent beforehand. Yeah.
And how did you transfer that money to them?
Uh, I think wire transfer was is one way. Yeah.
Okay, so like a normal app wire transfer or something you did for you.
Yeah, there was some app, I don't remember the name right now. Uh, but basically, you can ask the person in the US their bank account details with the Swift code, and you can make an international transfer from India with some nominal fee, and that's very much doable.
Sure, sure. And which airline did you choose for your travel?
Um, I chose Qatar Airways, probably because it has good food.
And you had like some people already as a group to come through this Qatar Airways or something? Like, did you travel
Yeah,
alone or with a group?
no, I actually traveled with my roommate that I had booked my apartment with. She was also traveling from Delhi. I was also, so we planned to travel together.
Different college or same college? Like IIT only or?
No, I had never met this person before. We had only talked over phone, but we joined the same master's program in CMU.
So you had no other person from IIT Delhi who was coming to CMU as such?
In my program, no, but in other master's program, yes. There were a couple of people.
Okay, okay, sure. And once you landed in US, so this was your first time in US?
Yes.
Did you see any cultural difference because you went to Mexico, you went to Zurich, and then US? What was the
Yeah,
surprise?
interestingly, not much of a cultural difference because I had just gotten back from Zurich and I was in India for like just a month. So, and then I flew to the US, and Europe and US are somewhat similar in culture. Not, yeah, so not a big cultural shock for sure.
But Pittsburgh is a bit of a small town than Zurich.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. There was definitely some level of disappointment. I mean, Zurich is a next level city in Switzerland. And I don't think any city in the US compares to Zurich. This, yeah.
Sure, sure. And you landed in US to what destination? Like, what was your flight trajectory like?
So there were two layovers actually. One was in Doha, probably, and the
Yeah, Qatar
second one,
Airways. Correct.
yeah, and the second one was in Boston, and then finally Pittsburgh.
Okay. And any hiccups happened here, like luggage
No,
delay,
it was
flight
a smooth
delay?
flight. Qatar is pretty reliable. I know other people who took some other airlines which weren't that good. So yeah.
Sure. And you are already aware of the culture of abroad because you had other internships also, like cooking, cleaning, laundry,
Yeah,
etc.
I had learned cooking during my 5 to 6 months in Zurich. Yeah. So
Okay. So
yeah. kind of happened.
Now you are comfortable with all the things by yourself, or you still miss the domestic help?
I mean, you would always want that. Why would you not want domestic help? But I think now that overhead feels much less. It has like become part of a routine. So yeah, you plan your things around that. So like yeah, it's a part of a routine, I would say.
So in US, I think you took the classes like in foreign country first time, right? Zurich or Mexico, you were not probably taking classes there. It was
No.
more like a project work kind of thing. So
Yeah.
here you took some classes, let's say, and then you had some classes in IIT Delhi, like 4 5 years you spent there. What teaching standards, like how do you compare the teaching standards, the way people are taught, the way the education system is framed? What are the basic differences, let's say India versus US?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. So I definitely found instructors to be very thorough and very accommodating in the US. And one good thing about them was like they would basically create an environment where students can ask questions. Even if you ask the stupidest question, they wouldn't demean you. They wouldn't say, oh, you don't know this, or like say mean things to you. They would be very respectful and they would be like, yeah, you might be right, but this things happen like this. So there is a very respectful vibe in the class, and students are very comfortable having conversations, which I think was missing in at least IITs. Um, Probably because I felt like the professors in IIT had a big ego. So even if you ask a good question, you'll get a very cleverly answered uh, like response. And students were usually like scared of like being made fun of, which I think was not at all a case in CMU. And also, in terms of evaluation, uh, I think CMU was pretty chill, in my opinion, compared to IIT Delhi. I never faced like stressful exam times or anything. Their evaluation is like, I guess, good paced and not very difficult. You can easily ace exams if you follow the classes. And it's not that rigorous, not that competitive, like no relative grading or anything like that. In some courses, yes, but even then, it's not that rigorous. So, from exam point of view, it's not that stressful.
Yeah. What about the part-time job culture and like internship culture that you experienced at CMU?
So, since my program was a research master's program, we were supposed to work on our thesis during summers. So that's what I did. And we are funded during the summers by the lab. But a lot of professional master's programs, I saw students going for internships. Though getting internships has been challenging for past couple of years, and it is still. So I do know students who wanted to go for internships but ended up like just doing some part-time or some research in the university and not an internship in a company. But other than that, I guess it depends from university to university. Some universities allow part-time jobs while doing your degree, but some don't. So I guess it depends. Also from program to program. So I do know some programs had students working as part-time.
You also got some scholarship which got you invited to the White House. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so there is this scholarship called Quad Fellowship, which is a joint effort by the Quad countries, India, US, Australia, and Japan. And they started this scholarship, and I was part of their first inaugural cohort. I got to know about it from IIT Delhi, and I had applied it in 2022. But the results got announced, and I was given a fellowship for my academic year of 23 till 24. So the scholarship chooses, at least for our cohort, they chose 25 students from each of the four Quad countries. So a total cohort of 100 students. And they gave a monetary scholarship of $50K that could be used towards tuition, housing, and everything. And we also had a residential experience in Australia in, I think, June 2023. and then a closing ceremony in White House that you just mentioned. So it was a really nice experience of like getting to know a lot of researchers and masters and PhD students in similar field. And there were like multiple occasions where we can meet the policymakers for STEM fields and also great researchers in the field.
So when you get these extra scholarships, does it I mean, does it mean that other scholarship of yours gets reduced, or it's like A plus B completely?
So the good part of Quad Fellowship is that it's a subsidiary scholarship, so it doesn't replace the existing one. There are a lot of scholarships like NSF and Rhode Island, yeah, that replace your current scholarship. But Quad Fellowship is a special a fellowship where you can use it on top of whatever financial support you're getting from your university. It's not supposed to replace it.
So this was like an extra scholarship income for you.
Yeah, yeah, kind of covered my first semester expenses in some way.
Okay, okay. So
Because
with this
CMU is
scholarship,
definitely a very expensive university. It's a private university.
so pretty much you could stand on your feet with this scholarship for the whole 2 years.
Yes.
Sure.
Does the scholarship? Not really. Maybe for first year. Partly, yeah. Partly for the first year.
I mean, all
Because
the scholarships combined, like your RATA
yes,
and
yes, yes.
is included, it did nullify your negatives a bit.
Yeah, true.
Sure, sure. And we also see that you are working at Meta right now. So how did you find this job for yourself?
So it's a very big misconception that people have that US universities have recruiting culture similar to India. Surprisingly, it's not like that. In India, they have placement seasons and companies come to campus and like just hire you. But here, there are career fairs where they come and like just tell about the company and like roles they have, but they do not do the interview process there. You can just get some contacts of recruiters, then you have to follow up and like do that async of everything. University tag definitely helps to some extent, um, but I applied basically off campus is the way. There is no on campus, so I applied to multiple companies and I was fortunate to get a call back from Meta for a role that they had in Reality Labs, which is the team of Meta that works on metaverse, so 3D computer vision stuff. And yeah, so I had my interviews scheduled and eventually I cleared that. So
So where are you, I mean, placed right now? Like where are you working from right now?
so I am in Bay Area, so San Francisco.
Okay.
So
So you just
Meta.
moved, is it? Like few months ago.
Yeah, I moved almost 3 months ago. Yeah.
Okay. And how do you see the work culture at Meta? Like, is it what you expected, or is it like more rigorous, or is it like less rigorous, or okay, okay?
So far, it's been what I had expected. It's definitely a hustle culture, and Meta is famous for having a startup culture despite of being a big tech company. So you can definitely see that within the company, but I wouldn't say, but not to the extent that it becomes toxic. I feel like the team is really nice that I'm a part of, and the managers and seniors in the team are pretty open and like helpful. So that's really nice.
Any meetup with the founder of Meta?
Not yet. Not yet.
Not even
Hopefully.
from a distance, like you didn't see like, okay, hi, hello.
No, no, not yet. It's only been 2 months, so let's see.
So maybe your boss has meetings with them, maybe like your manager, maybe.
I would definitely have a meeting in next couple of months because we have a demo that we'll show to Mark. So yeah, let's hope.
So you are hoping to click a picture with him at least.
Yeah, I'll definitely try that.
Sure, sure, sure. So it's good that you. So in this tough market, what advice would you give to others to hunt the jobs? Like, were you like, did you face a lot of rejections in your case, or I mean, maybe others are facing? How do you see this rejection ratio now?
I I definitely think that the market is really tough. I know a lot of people who cleared all the rounds. all the interviews, and the HR said that their performance analysis was excellent, but they didn't have headcount and they didn't have open positions. And eventually they got rejected because they were also bound by a timeline, right? You are on a visa, you have to like prevent those unemployment days and things like that. So you can't wait forever for that company to open a position even if you've cleared all the rounds. So I know people who were struggling with that, and definitely it was a very competitive market. So the companies, like, the bar was higher because there were so many applicants and just so many roles. Um, what advice I could give would probably be start early and um, just don't blindly email or like apply on jobs portal. Find connections, find recruiters, find hiring managers, find the exact person who would be responsible for hiring and message them, email them. Like message them on LinkedIn or email them if you could find their emails. Like
Sure,
do
sure.
a
I
more
think
targeted hunt.
this is where your LinkedIn advice would also work a bit, probably apart from the other job portals and career
Yeah.
fair, etc. Keep probably keep reaching out to people, and there would be probably something would work out.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
There are always posts on LinkedIn where hiring managers post that, okay, my team is hiring, apply. Just reach out to them there. If you apply on the jobs portal, there are like thousands of applications and it's all like luck based that yours would be selected. So
correct, correct. And those might be applied by agents also, whereas here is more of a personalized
true, true. Yeah,
approach.
yeah,
And then
exactly.
they can check your CV right away, on the LinkedIn. That okay,
Exactly.
what is this guy? Who is
You
this guy?
you you've at least cleared that big stack. You're at least on the top of that stack now. Yeah.
Sure. Okay, Shreya, thank you very much for your time and your insights. And it's great to always talk to an intelligent person and who's working at Meta. And so I
My
think you already said
pleasure. And
you
thank you
have
so
been.
much for having me. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay, Shreya. Then have a good day. Bye.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.